Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to the World Pokemon Federation Draft Breakdown channel. Occasionally other league draft breakdowns, and sometimes even like week 1 and 2 of a league channel. It's the channel of Mancini the Amazing. And while I run it, man, Roberto Mancini, he's still doing the things that are why I call him the Amazing. I don't really care as much about football now as I did then, but my gosh, he's certainly doing Italy proud in the UEFA Cup.
Yeah, I'm a big NFL fan too.
I don't even think you know how to spell most of those words, but he does like his Bugby Reek or whatever it is. Good on him. I have large, sweaty dudes, predominantly from New Zealand.
Hot.
Why don't you just watch New Zealand stuff? They just play it better.
What?
Why don't you just watch the New Zealand league?
Because I would rather shoot myself.
Than watch it played well?
No, than watch Union. It's awful. It's one of those things where the difference is, like, if I actually explained them to you, they would sound small. Like
we've had conversations about this on multiple occasions.
Yeah.
To be fair, I didn't know anything about the New Zealand thing, whether they played Union or League. Historically,
there's a New Zealand team in rugby. They mostly play Union, and they beat a team by 109 points the other day.
Nice.
And that is a lot of points considering one
That's a lot of points.
is worth like 6, I think, in
Yeah.
Union. So,
do you know what like impressive beating in a normal sport is like? It's beating them by like 4 points. But instead it's like, oh wow, we just are like, hey, how do we make our sport pretend that it's a real sport? I know, we make the numbers
you know that's
big.
Literally only applies to soccer, right? Like every other sport has big scores.
I mean, obviously football is a game with a lot of defense, right?
Softball.
So you contrast it to like basketball, right? Basketball, I guess, is so basketball is a sport in which the pace is significantly higher, so you get a lot more, but the points are 2 or 3 versus like the like much larger numbers you see in rugby. I don't even know how gridiron scoring works. I mean, like hockey. Baseball, you just get a point and a run, right?
Yeah, but the score was still, like you said.
Oh yeah, but that's just because it's got a significantly longer innings, right? It's a much longer sport. But you contrast that to cricket, where the differences are like
the All Blacks,
twice as much, 3 times as much.
The New Zealand rugby union side, the All Blacks scored 102 to Tonga's 0. Just wanted to. That's a lot of tries.
That's a significant number of tries.
That's
It's a pretty big mismatch.
This 80 minutes this goes for, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, they're scoring a point a minute.
Gotta use the timeouts more effectively, clearly.
8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think 16 tries, dear god.
Yep. This is what every conversation with Keith is like, by the way.
What?
Yeah, so the WPF is rebranded. They got rid of the like sensible division names and decided to name everything after random crap. Because other leagues do it, and WPF is like, why don't we do the things that other leagues do?
Look, I don't agree. I don't think this. I like the change. I think it's nice. I think it's a nice Gen 3 theme.
I mean, it is Gen 3 theme.
It's a nice.
I don't think the WPF needed like a like you don't really need like a theme to like. Legitimately, when we started this conversation today, we realized that I had put, despite the fact that I had the right logo, I had put the wrong division name on the thing, because I didn't even remember which of the divisions it was, because the name, the distinction is so numb and arbitrary between, like it's WPF Drought or WPF Drizzle. For one thing, they're both incredibly similar words. They both start with DR, and then after that I'm like you can't even like acronym them to seem different, right? They didn't name the WPF Kyogre and Groudon, even though that would have been significantly more distinctive. Like, I feel like you very easily could have done like at least that. I feel like it's a very unnecessary change, which seems like it's predominantly done.
I think the change made sense
for just mimicking other leagues.
Granted the how the structure of everything is, like, you know, reintroducing side divs, giving an extra VGC div.
The only reason that I know
think
which of the
like-
side divs is which side div is because I did like a bunch of the updating the doc for it, right? Like Ice, Rock, and Steel
I
is
know.
so completely removed from like any correlation to what the things are. Like Registeel is the only
like-
is the only Reggie of the three that was banned in Steel.
Look, I will say that's a little weird, but that's literally how I remember that one's Steel.
That was also how I figured out that one was Steel, and then I figured out the other one was Ice because it was incredibly slow despite the fact that it only had 2 rounds, and then I figured out the other one was Rock by process of elimination. Like, and also because I updated like, I don't know, probably like around 20, maybe heading towards 30, probably just under 30 little cup picks.
I like this rebranding, and I think it makes sense when it happened because of how.
Okay, so previously, WPF had
season
thing of S, A, B, C, and D for their main divs, and now
we
they're
got
PB,
one.
A, S, and D, which
Yeah.
is not confusing at all. You know, it's not as if they had 3 of those as previous divisions
No,
in
you
different
just go,
positions.
okay, what's.
They're just like, oh yes, Deoxys attack is clearly better than Deoxys speed, even though it's really frail.
It technically is.
No, we went through this, and Deoxys speed was better in one more generation if you count Nat Dex,
Oh, well,
which you didn't, so then they were tied.
no, I'm fairly sure it was.
You were like, oh, they're tied, because, I mean, there were several generations where they were tied. But, like, realistically, if you look at the usage stats, Deoxys attack is just not used that much, and Deoxys speed, because it's such a significant lead in lead-heavy Ubers metagames, is just a lead that gets used, because it's got a very favorable lead advantage due to its speed tier.
It's worse than a lot of metals. But well, some metals.
Is it worse? I mean, Deoxys attack is more like it puts more imposition on an opposing team to like build around. But Deoxys speed is significantly more reliable. It's just not a very consistent mon. But like it's got like high power spikes. It's got a lot of incredibly ridiculously favorable matchups. But speed is good in a majority of matchups, which is a pretty big distinction.
Okay. Okay. I don't think. Honestly, we should probably actually get to the breakdowns that are just arguing about this crap.
I mean, yeah, who comes to my draft things for draft talk? Anyways, this is the first VGC draft breakdown I will have been doing. This is my 4th VGC draft that I have done. So I did, I done 2 other drafts where I've finished leagues. I made playoffs. One was the previous season of this league. I was a 1st seed, and I made it into semi-finals of playoffs where I lost to a rematch to the guy who ultimately won the title. I did beat him on season, but by the rematch, by the time we got a rematch in playoffs, I already used all of like my prep on season, and it was not a good matchup in the first position. So I wound up losing to Colossal, very fair and balanced one. In the next one, my opponent, just before trades went out, traded with a player who was guaranteed not to make playoffs, and they traded them a bunch of like hyper. So my opponent previously had Venusaur and Ninetales. They had beaten me on season in a relatively hack-filled game, and they traded out their team to pick up like Torkoal, because you know Torkoal Venusaur, very fair combination, and definitely something that comes now. I mean, I guess it did happen this league as well, which was a bit of a weird decision. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like I got a decent enough team despite that. But it's like changing that whole thing and getting like a really favorable trade deals from another player, and then immediately before playoffs, it really put me very much on the back foot. I also think that, yeah. So then the other league I'm doing okay in. I think I'm like 3-2.
Is that the Reggie Lucky one, or?
No, the Reggie Lucky one was the other one we talked about. Reggie Lucky is not great into Venusaur, turns out.
Yeah. Really.
Yeah, so then this is my new one, and I tried to do all new mods. Technically, I did a doubles OU league ages ago.
Brought me in because I'm a VGC expert, so I'm gonna tell you
you've definitely
exactly what these Pokemon. I'm gonna tell you and also him exactly what these Pokemon do.
So you know, I did exactly. So basically, before the draft, Jace said, sorry, one of the people who mods, who I'll actually be doing the PRs with later, said that if I was an early pick, I was going to draft Dragapult because it's good or whatever. And I said, and they specifically said that I was right in previous seasons where I had said that Dragapult is better than Glastrier, which I still do believe it is. but they suggested in a way that suggested I think Dragapult is like the best mon in the tiers, which I really don't. I used Dragapult in a speed tour, and even beyond that, I've assisted other people who found Dragapult. I really don't think it is the best mon in the format. I wound up drafting the Pokemon that, in my opinion, and from my experience, is I think the best Pokemon in the format. I was the second pick. The first pick overall was Togekiss, which I think went a bit early. I've seen it actually come back to the wheel at that point. But I mean, they wound up, like I said, getting Torkoal Venusaur immediately after that, so good on them anyways. Yeah, I mean, I wound up picking up Tapufini, which is a Pokemon 1, because this is Yogscast themed, and I don't really watch the main Yogscast, mostly just the Hoi Boys. But hey, I watch a few others. So yeah, Pokemon 1, Tapufini. Just because they're both Danish, from the country of Denmark.
And I'm going to tell you all that Tapufini does in VGC. Tapufini is a knockoff Pokemon, and
does not learn knockoff in the format.
Oh, Tapufini is...
Tapufini is a physical attacker. You see, Misty Terrain gives it the ability to be immune to confusion, so you can click Swagger into it, and then it gets +2 attack, and it fires off boosted liquidations and play roughs.
I'm not joking, I was literally gonna say you Swagger it. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
See, I am a VGC expert.
Yep. I was definitely being entirely serious. And that's why I drafted several Swagger Pokemon.
Oh no, you should put, because this is also totally legal, Berserk.
Berserk Gene is definitely legal in this format.
Those who don't know,
also, Berserk Gene ignores Misty Terrain.
Yeah, Berserk Gene is a Gen 2 only item.
It gives you infinite confusion. It's not actually infinite, because it only goes for 99 turns, because they couldn't implement a longer amount than that. Yeah, and it gives you +2 attack. But here's the thing. Berserk Gene Confusion goes through things that otherwise would make you immune to confusion. Which was a terrain, like a region effect back in the previous gen. But yeah, so that immunity to confusion means that I would get confused even from Berserk Gene, even through Misty Terrain.
That's shit. Okay, what is Tapufini's actual niche? Well,
I said it already. Like, I'm not kidding. There was a guy who hit #1 on the ladder with a physical Tapufini with Swagger and I think a weakness policy on it.
So that's actually why you picked it?
I mean, it's an option. I feel like Tapufini is a mon with a ridiculous range of options. I think Misty Terrain is insane. It's incredibly bulky. It's got great typing. It's got a bevy of useful support moves. Strong Muddy Waters are strong. It's a fairy with Moonblast, and my god, a lot of fairies don't have Moonblast, and are significantly less strong effectively for it. Like, Hatterene is great, but if you're not maxing it, you're hitting Dazzling Gleam, and that's just doing reduced damage because it's a spread move. And yeah, Fini is just incredibly defensively oppressive, and very offensively oppressive. Its typing, with its weaknesses to Electric, Grass, and Poison, a lot of Pokemon can cover those Electric, Grass, and Poison weaknesses. So if you have that Pokemon in the back, and then you switch the Fini out into it, or you switch the Fini into other things, because it's got quite a nice grouping of resists, as well as the Misty Terrain reducing the power of Dragon moves, you really do start opposing Dynamaxes super effectively with mons like this. Also, its Carmine sets are generally considered to be very good in like late game sweeps.
And it's good for defog to remove opposing hazard stack.
Yep. Defog, opposing hazard stack, very very relevant part of Tapu. I don't even know if it gets defog this generation. Like, I don't know if it's a TM or not.
Oh.
Like, knockoff isn't a TM, so it doesn't get knockoff this gen. Or at least in this format. Like, did you know what Bishop's Dark Stab is?
Throat chop.
Nope.
Wait, it doesn't get throat chop?
No, it does not. No, it's Assurance. No, I think it gets Night Slash now. I know in a previous generation, it's only Dark Stab was Assurance. It gets Night Slash now. I think it got Night Slash last gen. So this makes me think that I'm thinking all the way back to Gen 6 when I'm remembering this. But yeah, it only gets knockoff after Moon Shooters are introduced. As with most Pokemon. But some of them get knockoff as level up because, you know, just rip Bishop, I guess. Yeah, so, oh no, that's right. No, I forgot the entire thing. The reason that Fini was Bo is because Denmark isn't real, and neither is Tapufini. But I'm real. I picked the Fini in the second overall pick, despite the fact that Dragapult was still there.
You know what else is not real?
And then I got told to take a Dragon type that benefits from...
To work with the mystery terrain.
Yeah, so a Dragon type...
Yeah.
So effectively... sorry, I'm not explaining well. I was told to take a Pokemon that was a Dragon type that doesn't use its stab. As the idea is that it would benefit defensively from the misty terrain, while still having a lot of the useful traits that come with being a Dragon type. So there are a few Pokemon that I was eyeing. I looked briefly at Drampa back when I wasn't really sure what direction my draft was going in. I looked at... There's a few others I looked at. I looked at Lolanegi. I looked at... I'm trying to remember what other ones I looked at. I looked at a few. But ultimately, I was convinced. A good friend of mine, and you should check out their channel, The Jordan Plays. The Jordan was giving me advice on this one. They've used Fini before. They are quite a... I was going very much out of my comfort zone for this one, so I was taking a good bit of their advice. They gave me a Pokemon that I believe they used in the SPS, which is the league where I recently made it to playoffs and I lost to Venucol. So they used this Pokemon recently, Garchomp, which is Angori's home, obviously because it looks like fucking Toddy! And the difference between you and I is that when I was too lazy to change things, I just didn't bother to remove the backgrounds on all of the images for the people. But yeah, as you can see, Garchomp with the blue and the red there, basically identical to Toddy. And they've got the stabby thing, it's stabby things, spikes, armor, it's the same thing. So basically, Garchomp is very tanky, Garchomp is very fast, and Garchomp is fairly strong. It has quite a good range of moves, and it can attack from either end of the physical or special, but is very, very strong physically. Getting max Quake boosts and max Steel Spike boosts, both of which Garchomp can get, especially strong max Quakes, boosts into Fini can make it very difficult for opposing teams to remove. This is also true for a number of other Pokemon that I have drafted. They benefit a lot from the defensive boosts from max moves, which is quite strong. And Garchomp doesn't really rely on its Dragon type that much, except to break certain opposing dragons, just because it has such a good stat already, and other good coverage. It's quite strong. Sorry, how do you think that one uses Garchomp in the format?
It's a fucking Garchomp, you just click Earthquake. Well, other...
Yeah.
Actually, it's all it's really got is Earthquake. So you click Earthquake a lot, or you click, I don't know, other moves. It's a fucking Garchomp, what do you want from it?
I feel like you could have come up with something more interesting than click Earthquake.
It's this toxic sub-staller.
Doesn't get toxic this gen.
It's a spam Striker Meteor with specs.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend it in Misty Terrain, but it is technically an option. And now,
well, your opponents would never suspect.
Okay, so
you run telepathy.
There was
also don't get earthquaked.
There was a secret pact formed with a good friend of mine, Avant, who also known as the Time Guy. He's known as the Time Guy, but his channel is TIMGY MEGY on YouTube. I don't know that he's uploaded super recently. You should still check him out. He's amazing content. And he and I fessed up a plot. He apparently had fessed up a scheme with someone else. So basically, we drafted mons for each other, and then we traded them once the thing was done. Because there was a very high priority mon that I was not sure was going to make it back to me, whereas he wanted relatively mid-priority mons because he drafted a rain team. So I went out picking up Kingdra, and he picked up for me. That's right, I saw Predudians, the Gravy Babies, Glastria, the Ice Horse, the horse made of ice. Now, yes. Mr. Sheath Keldon.
Yeah.
Give us your pronunciations on Leon Trotsky himself, Mr. Ice Horse Glastria.
Glastria.
Yep.
Sorry, Glastria.
Oh, that's right. The funny thing, Glastria.
Yeah. Glastria.
No, you're thinking Spectria. No, it says Glastria.
its gimmick is... What is its gimmick? Oh, it's a... uses taunt. Got it. It's a taunter.
Does it learn taunt?
Yes, it does.
Today I learned the Glastrier learns taunt.
Yeah. So basically, it's to taunt opposing...
opposing Tailwind. To stop opposing Tailwind.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would just have such free speed control against the opposing teams, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's also very good for stopping opposing also, Magic Room and Wonder Room.
Yeah, it's also very good for Mist, so if your opponent Dynamax, you click Mist, and then you won't have your stats drop when they click their, you know, Max Strike or Max Dragon or whatever.
Max Whirlwind.
Yeah, Max Whirlwind. I actually know what this does. This hits in Trick Room pretty hard.
Yeah, that's right. It's got very strong blizzards.
It's got very strong
blizzards.
Crashes and
remember, guys, it's the hashtag Maygang.
Powers and
Chilling May.
Combats and the
heavy slams.
Unlike
now, heavy slam. I want you guys to keep that move in mind for later.
Unlike Spectre, yeah. It's actually got coverage.
It does in fact have a lot of coverage, like Seed Bomb, because it needed that.
Yeah.
This is another physical. Sorry. The other thing that I was advised with Fini was to run a lot of physical attackers, because physical attackers are very weak to Will-O-Wisp, but they can't be burnt in Misty Terrain. So that's why I got Glastrier and Garchomp.
Yeah.
Yep. I saw Predudience. I believe this is the first member of the Oxcast I subscribe to.
Another physical attacker next time with
yes, yes, Remy Down Under Gaming. The person whose video I recently recommended to you, who is an Australian, technically. Unfortunately, Victoria is still, legally speaking, a part of Australia. I don't know why. I feel like we need to amend that mistake at some point, but it's not something we can do immediately. We certainly do have a Mushana.
Yeah.
Mushana is a sleepy one. Mushana is 1 point slower than Glastrier and does have access to Rock Tomb, so it can self-proc Neatness Policy on the Glastrier, which is quite strong.
Probably got Trick Room, right?
Yes, it does have Trick Room.
But it's actual...
It also has a Rock Slide, and it's really fucking slow. So in Trick Room, you can Rock Slide French over. I don't know if you think you were joking, but actually, it just runs physical moves, because the only physical move you need is Rock Slide.
I'll tell you what its actual niche is.
Rock Slide. It's Rock Slide.
But after you, so you click Focus Punch, and you click after you with your Mushana, and then...
Is that how Focus Punch works?
Will activate immediately. I think so.
I don't... It feels like it shouldn't. I thought that moves like Focus Punch and Beak Blast failed if you after-you'd them. I
believe I've seen this happen.
It may have been changed between gens.
That is possible.
No, I mean, Beak Blast was only introduced last gen. I don't think this is a change that happened this gen, but I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Oh, I just realized it's not obvious. He's wearing a kangaroo costume. It's like the kangaroo on like those really like crappy noodles. Do you have those noodles that you could like take to school and they had like a kangaroo on them?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's wearing a costume of that, the mascot for those. That's rimming down under gaming.
Yeah, but that's its actual niche.
Yep, Rock Slide.
No, after you spam.
Yep, Rock Slide. Yep, okay, now.
I'm literally gonna test this out, okay.
I don't want you to, I'm in the middle of making a video of it.
Yeah, I know, I'll do it in the background.
Okay, so now for my next trick, we have Lydia, or Squid Gaming, as Articuno Galar.
Yeah.
Now, unlike Keith, I'm a man of shame, and like I could not find a good picture of Lydia that wasn't like either her making a weird face in a frozen frame in a video, or her having like a proper picture taken like this. But I felt bad for having a picture with it, which is exactly the opposite of how Keith felt.
What are you talking about?
You have to watch his part of the content to go find out. So you should check out the channel. Keith Sheldon, is that the name of the channel?
I think possibly Keith Sheldon.
Pretty sure Jolene was showing more tip than this was.
I think it's just regular Keith Sheldon.
Yeah, Articuno Galar. So the other thing that's a good idea to have with a lot of Pokemon with physical attackers, is a Pokemon with the abilities either competitive or defiant. So competitive means that if you get a stat drop, you get +2 special attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I get intimidated, Articuno Glob becomes incredibly strong. It also has like a ridiculous behavior of support moves. It has both Trick Room and Tailwind. Freezing Glare is a Psychic type move with a chance to freeze because that's what we needed. And it's honestly, it's just fairly strong. And it's another one that can kind of late game. It's got access to Recover, which is very strong. I've seen a lot of games recently. So Jamie Boyd took an Articuno Galar team, which I believe was Trick Room, Recover, Freezing Glare, and Air Slash to play as Scott 4. And I was really enjoying the team that he made. It was part of what inspired me to make a decision. I was originally picking between this and Braviary, because they're both the same price and both provided Tailwind. Articuno Galar was mildly faster, and I ultimately decided that I thought that Articuno Galar provided better support to the team, because of how well I saw it utilized. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
he did fairly well in the Players' Cup. He's quite an innovative team builder, and I think that it's a good Pokemon to pair with it. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't mention this, but you can see all the WPF logos, except for Drizzle, because that's the one that was on the first page. You can see all the new ones on the bottom of the screen, on the banner thing.
Look, you might hate the new thing, but you have to admit they're pretty cool looking.
Yeah, I mean, Jace does good art.
Oh yeah, very good art. By the way, Articuno Galar's niche is to fish for
freezes. Yep.
With its
in misty terrain.
Yeah, in misty terrain. Oh, because it's
with
flying,
freezing glare,
so it can freeze itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Doesn't get ice moves though, or heat wave.
Well, no, doesn't it get the? Doesn't its thing freeze like its special move?
Yeah, no. I know. It just doesn't get ice moves or heat wave.
Oh,
I really wish it got heat wave. Like, I'm not weak to steel types. Well, I'm weak to some steel types. I'm really weak to steel bugs, and I really wish this one got heat wave as a result. Sorry, because of that.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Shame. Like, I don't think any of my mons except for Garchomp so far have fire moves, which is unfortunate. I don't remember what the next one is, but I'm just gonna say, speaking of fire moves, and hope it's my fire type. It is.
Yes, it is. That's
right. The Bristol Pusher, Lewis Brindley. A man with a passion pushed to the brink. This is Salazzle.
Oh, no.
It's got Fake Out, which makes it the Bristol Pusher. I feel like this joke was significantly funnier in my head before, but it's there you go, Lewis. I want to include.
I don't know who these people are. So
you don't know who Lewis from the Yogscast is?
No, so maybe.
I find it very unlikely. There's like there's like no way whatsoever that you haven't heard of their famous song. I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole, diggy diggy hole, diggy diggy hole.
Nope.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
I didn't even have the internet, and I'd heard of that song.
Congrats.
You're not that much. You're only mildly older than me. There's no way. There is no way. You're more of the age bracket. Like, I was a bit young for the Yogscast. You're more in the age bracket to have been in this group. I don't believe that just because it's regional Australia and you don't have baths or showers and you have to stay in the stream, that you somehow did not know that Minecraft existed.
I knew Minecraft existed, I just didn't listen to the stupid...
It was just a meme. It's just a meme. It's just... I don't know. I think you have to take this stuff with a grain of salt.
I literally don't know what the hell this is. I don't...
It's the Bristol Pusher. Pushes children into the river in Bristol or something.
No. But, oh, I get it. I think I figured out what you're putting down.
It's a fire type. I drafted a fire type. That's what happened.
No,
I need a Pokemon that can use fire moves, and I drafted one.
Salazzle doesn't have
Knockoff? No.
No, dig, because I was gonna say. Oh,
no, it does not.
Dig.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So the next Pokemon I had was the Spiffing Brit with Morgrem, because
you just love
they're both British
so much. You got Wish Grimmsnarl.
That's right. Grimmsnarl went like pick 4, and I'm like, crap. And for some reason, they're not going to let me get Grimmsnarl incredibly late into the draft yet again. Actually, I was trying to not draft the same mons as always, but I wound up with the other one, because Jordan was very, very, very much pro the use of Morgrim with several of my mons. They said it was good with Fini, good with Garchomp, and good with very good with Glastrier apparently. Very, very good with Glastrier apparently. So I have a Morgrim. It's like Grimmsnarl. If Grimmsnarl could not act as a win condition and make your opponent rage quit after like halfway through game 2, because that was fun when I did that once. And yeah, Spiffing and Morgrim are both very spiffing, as you can tell. This is the weirdest picture of Spinny. But they're no good. I don't understand what it is. Are people incapable of like taking good clips from streams? Because it feels like they always take the clips in 480p or something. Like, I will never fully understand. And this is just like a picture from one of the Yog's Instagram. It's very nice. Swift is a very handsome young fellow. Wish him and his wife very well. So we go on to the next one. It's Tom Bates, Berserker, because I was running out of Yogscast people I know, and Tom Bates is one of the editors on the Yogscast, and he sometimes appeared on Angry Tom's channel, which is one of the few Yogscast channels I actually watch.
There you go.
Yeah, Tom, he's a good editor. Berserker. Remember how I told you to remember that Glastrier gets heavy slam?
Yeah.
Berserker. Steely Spirit.
Steely Spirit, yeah.
Yep, that's what it does. It sits there and it supports other Pokemon clicking steel moves.
Well, it's also good. It's okay in Trick Room, I suppose.
I mean, it's a bit fast for Trick Room, but like, yeah. So week 1, I'm playing a Scavalier, and then I agreed to a scrim with someone else from the Drought division, which is not the division that I am in, despite the fact that I thought it was, because they have the same name, and I was very confused by the fact that the divisions are incredibly similarly named and could have just been called less confusing things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they also have a Scavalier, but they also have Salazzle and Glastrier, and then have a bunch of other mons that are basically identical to my mons, except slightly different. Like, they have a bunch of Pokemon that perform the exact same functions. So that's slightly terrifying. I think they have a better team than I do, because I think Drow was less aggressive with a lot of their picks. Well, I think Primarina is straight up worse than Fini, but I think outside of that, that team is quite good. Yeah, so there's Tom Bates. There you go. And then we go to Purine Flax, who is a member of the Yogscast, and he played tabs with Tom a few times, and that's how I got introduced to most of the Yogscast that wasn't white people. And he wears glasses just like Credilli does. Credilli, I had spare points that I had to figure out how to use, so I wound up drafting Sizzle for my friend the Kingdra, and they drafted me Credilli. It was originally going to be Marowak, but then it got sniped. And I'm like, you know what, if I can't get a Lightning Rod mon, I guess I will get a Storm Drain mon. But it's definitely not as good, because I have like one water weakness. But yeah, it's Credilli. It's got Meteor Beam.
Cradily?
It's got Meteor Beam.
That's pretty cool, I suppose.
It has Meteor Beam. That's what it has. Meteor Beam.
Yeah.
It's just like Purine Flax. So here's what. Oh wait, no, I have another. Okay, so like the second Pokemon I decided I was going to draft, I completely forgot that I didn't draft it until the last round of the league. But it was literally the second Pokemon that I decided to draft the entire time. It's Thievul, which is Simon Link, Honeydew, the other main Yogscast person, member of the Riddle Bros. Shortsy. Thievul. It's got Unburden, and I have a Pokemon with a terrain, so I can unburden it, and then it can use support moves like Snarl and Snarl.
And
Snarl.
all sorts of support moves like Snarl and Snarl.
Snarl. It's pretty good. It's Thievul. It was 6 points. It seemed good to 6 points.
Yeah, I suppose
Snarl's
so.
good. I liked it when I had it on Spectria. This is a good picture of Salmon Lane. Yeah, so I think that's the 10 mons we were allowed to draft. Because we weren't allowed to draft 9 or 11 mons in the weather division. I don't entirely know why. But we weren't allowed to, so that's the team.
It just happens.
So there we go. Here's the Yogscast X WPF crossover draft.
Oh boy.
There's my team.
And WPF. Oh boy. Okay, so your team. I'm assuming. So explain. So, what do you think are its strengths and weaknesses? I'll be judging your answer based on this because I am.
Yeah, you are. So I think a fundamental weakness of any draft is to not have a Pokemon over 130 speed. I think that every team with a Pokemon over 130 speed is stronger inherently than any Pokemon that's not a Pokemon 130 speed or over. I think that... Yeah, so Salazzle as the upper speed tier is not great, though Salazzle is the fastest unboosted fake out. No, it's not. Weavile is. I don't think there's anything else. Like, it's faster than Sneasel. I don't think there's anything 120 up, but then there are other...
Sorry to interrupt you, but I do need to finish something that we started a while ago. I just managed to, while we were doing it, confirm. After you does in fact trigger Focus Punch early.
Okay, that's broken.
Yeah, it took like 5 games to do it, because as it turns out, Comfy Conkelda is not a good lead to be uninterrupted, but it works, so...
I see.
Okay, continue.
Okay, you didn't just scarf the Comfey?
Shut up. I probably shouldn't.
Okay.
Anyway,
so,
yeah, where were we?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an issue. Obviously, I can try and stem that with Thievul. I think that my team is annoyingly weak to electric types. I think my team is annoyingly weak to bug steals. Yeah, playing Escavalier and then also having Escavalier as a thing I have to play against in Mock is like, Jesus Christ, Escavalier is incredibly terrifying for my team. I mean, it's got a very incredibly, like, it's got a ridiculously strong, almost oppressively strong speed tier at 20 base, which is most Pokemon do not. I think the next big relevant Slowmon, I mean, besides Amoonguss, which is often likes speed investment, is you got Torkoal at 25, and then like Glastrier is like at 30, and then Mushana at 29. Are very much like towards the lower end of the spectrum, but not loving playing a Pokemon that is super effective stab that resists my stab into both of them, and like max steel spikes when I don't have the greatest ways to break things. Like, I'm not even sure that Morganum gets Burning Jealousy yet. I know that Grimmsnarl does. I know that I've run it before.
I'll check.
It might. I know Thievul does. So then my fire moves are Garchomp, Salazzle, and Thievul, and potentially...
It does get Burning Jealousy.
Okay, and then also Morkrum. But I don't know that Morkrum is going to do as much.
You see. It's 75 special attack. Okay, that's its highest stat.
I am aware that special attack is Morkrum's highest stat. I actually did already know that.
I did not know that.
I've used Morgrum before in mocks for the PWS when I was part of Divine Discharge.
Gotcha. You just love Morgrams, you love Grimmsnarl so much, you drafted its baby.
I mean, I used Morgrum before I didn't even draft the baby. I've seen people use Impotent. I used Morgrum before I used Grimmsnarl, so technically I liked Morgrum so much I started using the big one.
It's dad.
Yeah, I kidnapped his father. He thought it was going to go out for milk, but it never got milk. And now the older brother has come out, and he's like, "Oh no, where's the milk?
My dad too.
I really need the milk. Otherwise, we're gonna have very dry wheat bix for breakfast. You know, don't you know there's a drought going on? We have to use milk instead of water." And then I kidnapped him too.
You're a thief.
It's a kidnapper and human trafficker. Well, I guess it's a Pokemon. Is it a thief if you steal animals? Isn't it a
Yes.
What's the thing? What's the dude called in Waltzing Matilda? He's what's right? Poacher.
Poaching? Yeah, no.
Poaching is when you kill animals,
Yeah.
not when you steal livestock. The dude in Waltzing Matilda, they say what he is, and he's the thing that he is someone who steals cattle and sheep for a living. Well, not for a living. It's a crime because it's theft.
I'm looking. Waltzing Matilda, you can Waltzing Matilda.
You'll come waltzing Matilda with me. Or apparently, according to my autocorrect maps, not Matilda. They updated the Google, and now the autocorrect thing is just wildly wrong. Swagman.
Okay, Swagman.
Yep. He kidnapped a Jumbuck. Swagman just referred to like a general vagabond, someone who did not have a house and generally acted upon the other side of the law. Otherwise, they would have been a drover if he was someone who was homeless but had a profession. So they go about and often were associated with petty theft, cattle rustling, and gambling. I believe there was a particularly famous one whose name is currently escaping me, who stole like 12 head of cattle, and then he went to court, and then he impressed the entire jury so much that they acquitted him, even though he was guilty.
Oh, that's so weird, because my brothers just came back from camping. They literally told this exact story to me last night before they went to bed.
Yeah, I mean, I learnt about it in school.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, it's
That's really weird.
I cannot remember his name. I don't know what the problem is. Like, it's escaping me. I went to one of the times when I was out in holiday in regional Australia, which is like where you live. I went to the building that there was a museum in the court they did it, not just specifically for his case, but it was one of the exhibits at that museum. So I was like, oh yeah, here's that thing that I learned about in school. So anyways, I personally think that every single person's team is weak to the Bristol Pusher. Not really sure there's any counterplay to the Bristol Pusher. I mean, you get pushed, and then what do? Nothing.
You walk back.
So guys, place bets on how long I'm actually going to continue uploading this.
2 weeks.
Nice. I have a strong vote of confidence from Keith Sheldon. That is
Well, because now you're
tied with my
you'll
record.
either do 1 week or you'll do 3 weeks. So, or you'll do more. So I'm trying to, sort of make you have a spike.
You have you are too much
Keep going.
too much confidence in me. I've gotten 0 weeks before.
I'm probably doing 0 weeks. I
Pain.
have to say that now.
Alright guys, yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you know what the Oakscast are, because Keith apparently doesn't know how to read. Goodbye.